You're telling me they shot you with a revolver in your eye?
Yes.
Is it a BB gun?
No, it was a real gun, man. It was just a revolver.
They shot you in the eye, you wouldn't be talking to me right now. It was most likely you'd be dead.
Ryan was just a regular guy living in the U.S. until he met his former roommate, Richie Lee Carver. Let's just say things took a dark turn. In December 2006, Ryan was shot in the face by Richie, and it got worse. After surviving the attack for 2 whole days, the police failed to get him the medical attention he desperately needed, and he tragically passed away. And this isn't even the whole story. Ryan tried to explain his situation to the cops all the time, only to be ignored by them, and eventually passed away during the days of his interrogation. Born in 1988, Ryan was a native of Maricopa County, Arizona. He was an American by nationality and of Caucasian ethnicity. Though his father's name was Don Waller, the identity of his mother remains a mystery. Ryan grew up in the bustling city of Phoenix, Arizona, where he completed his high school diploma. It is believed that he went on to pursue a college degree. The details of his academic journey are unknown. Sadly, Ryan's life was cut short during his college years when he was brutally murdered. The story began on Christmas Day in 2006. Ryan Waller and his girlfriend, Heather M. Kwan, were at their home, preparing for a pre-Christmas dinner with Ryan's father. While they were inside, someone knocked on their door. Ryan answered and was confronted by his former roommate, Richie Lee Carver, and Larry Lloyd Carver. The Carvers were carrying guns, and a violent struggle followed. Richie shot Ryan in the eye, causing him to fall to the ground. Heather, who was lying on the couch, was shot in the head by the Carver. The father-son duo then stole several weapons and computers from the scene before fleeing. The incident shocked the local community and left many wondering about the motive behind the crime. The investigation revealed that the Carvers had a history of violence and drug abuse. Ryan had recently kicked Richie out of their shared apartment, and the Carvers had been seeking revenge ever since. The events that took place on Christmas Day 2006 did not end with the murder of Ryan Waller's girlfriend, Heather Kwan. Ryan himself was shot in the eye by Richie Lee Carver and left to die in his own home. Despite his injuries, Ryan clung to life for 2 days, his body weak and unable to call for help. He lay there helpless and alone, his girlfriend's lifeless body laying beside him. The police, who had failed to prevent the initial attack, also failed to come to Ryan's aid. Days went by without anyone noticing that Ryan was still alive, until his worried father tried to reach him and failed. His desperation led him to contact the authorities, who broke into Ryan's home and discovered a horrifying sight. Ryan was still alive, barely, and in dire need of medical attention. The sight of Ryan's badly injured body and the gruesome scene that surrounded him left the police officers in shock, wondering how they could have failed to save him earlier. The lifeless body of Heather lay motionless in the house, adding to the already intense situation. Ryan's survival was nothing short of a miracle, but the trauma and pain he endured in those 2 days would leave a lasting impact on him and those who knew him. The events that occurred after Ryan was discovered only added to the already chilling nature of this crime. After being rescued, Ryan was taken to the police station instead of being rushed to the hospital. The longest hour of his life was spent in interrogation, writhing in agony as he waited for help. Alone and handcuffed to the desk, he couldn't even cry out for aid. Despite his obvious distress, the detectives persisted in their questioning, oblivious to Ryan's suffering. It was a harrowing experience that left Ryan traumatized and in need of urgent medical attention. The discovery of Heather's remains caused the police to shift their focus toward Ryan Waller, transforming him from the victim into the prime suspect. They viewed him with suspicion, scrutinizing his every move and questioning his motives. The death of his girlfriend painted a darker picture of the situation, and the police's perspective on Ryan took a turn for the worse. They interrogated him relentlessly, convinced of his guilt. The burden of proving his innocence became a daunting task as he struggled to clear his name and show that he was in fact a victim of a heinous crime.
You're telling me they shot you with a revolver in your eye?
Yes.
Is it a BB gun?
No, it was a real gun, man. It was just a revolver.
They shot you in the eye, you wouldn't be talking to me right now. It was most likely you'd be dead.
Ryan's words were met with skepticism and disbelief, as the police officers thought he was making up the story. Little did they know that Ryan was telling the truth, and his life hung in the balance with each passing moment. The gunshot had caused a brain bleed that could prove fatal at any moment, and the detectives' disbelief only added insult to injury. As Ryan fought for his life, the investigation into the shooting intensified, with detectives racing against time to piece together the events that led to the violence. Instead of rushing to get him medical attention, they made a grave mistake. They incarcerated him for hours on end. His health deteriorated rapidly, and yet they showed no sign of concern or urgency. Ryan's life took a turn for the worse after the fateful events of 2006. The gunshot wounds he sustained on that Christmas Day proved to be much more severe than anyone could have anticipated. Ryan's body was ravaged and his health deteriorated rapidly. He lost his left eye and underwent brain surgery that robbed him of his independence and quality of life. Ryan's once promising future was now gone, and he had to rely on his parents to survive. Despite his struggles, Ryan managed to hold on for 10 years, but his condition continued to worsen. He suffered from seizures that left him bedridden and unable to function. In the end, Ryan Waller passed away on the 20th of January 2016, leaving behind a family that had endured unimaginable pain and suffering. It was only after his death that Ryan's testimonies were considered seriously. Richie Carver and his father Larry Carver were charged and convicted for the heinous crime. Richie was found guilty of multiple charges, including felony murder, aggravated assault, and misconduct involving weapons. After a lengthy trial, he was sentenced to spend his entire life behind bars. Larry, on the other hand, almost escaped justice after his wife initially confessed to the police, incriminating him in the 2006 incident. However, he was eventually charged and convicted of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, burglary, and aggravated assault. The case against Larry Carver hit a snag when his wife refused to testify in court, citing her right to marital privilege. This loophole in the law allowed Larry to escape justice, much to the dismay of Heather Kwan's family. They were outraged and took matters into their own hands by launching a campaign to enact Heather's Law. The new law sought to eliminate the privilege in cases involving domestic violence. The campaign was successful, and the law was passed in Arizona in 2009. Larry was then charged again with his crimes, and this time around there was no escape. He was found guilty and sentenced to a long time behind bars. Despite his efforts to challenge the application of Heather's Law, the court ruled against him and justice was finally served. The Ryan Waller case has taken the true crime world by storm, captivating the attention of enthusiasts everywhere. It's been featured in numerous podcasts, each one attempting to unravel the mystery surrounding the Carver's decision to shoot Ryan. Rumors abound that the motive behind the crime was revenge. Supposedly, Ryan had thrown Carver out of their shared room, sparking a deep-seated grudge in the shooter's mind. However, others speculate that the root of the problem lies in Richie's advances towards Ryan's girlfriend, leading to a violent confrontation. But the investigation into this case raises many questions about the police's handling of the situation. Instead of providing medical care for Ryan, they detained him and subjected him to hours of questioning. Members of the public have voiced their outrage, stating that the officer's actions were negligent and may have cost Ryan his life. Many wonder how things might have turned out differently if the police had acted more quickly to get Ryan the help he desperately needed. As we wind up today's episode, one thing is for sure. The case of Ryan Waller is still hard to believe for many, especially the pain he had to go through. What's even more heartbreaking is the fact that the police failed to get him the medical attention he so desperately needed. It's hard to comprehend how something like this could happen, but it's a sad reality that we can't ignore. Thanks for joining along with us, guys. We'll meet up again in another episode soon. Until then, stay tuned.